Alright, first things first, I remained very silent over the course of the last few months, and this had various reasons as to why. A, I wasn't feeling very good for a longer time, but I don't really wanna go more in depth into this. B, because I was working on a lot of different projects at the time, which slow but steady should get online soon. And C, because I played Sonic Frontiers and getting all S ranks in the Cyberspace Challenge, which almost drove me into insanity and felt like an insane nightmare I just simply couldn't escape, since these two fucking A-Wings, they made me mad. But finally I did manage to pull it off eventually. It just took me hours over hours I can't get back. Great. Well, anyways, I'm back. Sort of, I guess, I hope. Well, as you all are aware by now, Kadokawa released a few weeks ago the first PvE trailer of Data Life Season 5. And
俺とマナの過去に何があったのか、誰より知りたいのは俺自身なんだ。くるみにどんな事情があろうと指導の霊力を渡すわけにはいかない。もしかしたらニベルコルを無力化できるかもしれないという話です。
Oh dear God, please have mercy on us. Yes, GEEKTOYS is again in charge of animating the 5th season of Data Life. And well, that concerns me a lot. But before we dive into it, don't forget to subscribe if you're a fan of the show like I am, and also hit the like button if you liked the video in the end. Without further ado, let's go! Okay, let's just dive in head first, shall we? But first, a little history lesson. The first time the Data Life community heard about GEEKTOYS as an animation studio was early 2019, when the Data Bullet spin-off was announced for 2020 summer and late November. For us, it was a little taste of how the 4th season of the show is going to look like. And in all honesty, the animation of Data Bullet was pretty acceptable. I mean, of course, it was no masterpiece, but it was still decent and cool to look at. In March 2021, GEEKTOYS finally revealed its first PvE trailer, and everyone, including me, was hyped. But along the runtime of the season a whole year after, I noticed something. All the big major fights in that season, such as Inverse Toka versus Mukuro and Origami, or the fight versus Inverse Nia, just to name a few, were all handled with CGI. Cause, as you remember... What the f is that? What is this? Yes, the action sequences mostly just looked terrible and garbage, and it made me thinking, why? I mean, Data Bullet 2 years prior didn't need a CGI either, and they already handled the franchise back then, so why do it now? The first, well, obvious reason for this is that the usage of CGI 3D models cuts a lot of cost in the production. It's no surprise anymore that it's cheaper to make and therefore is an enticing alternative for most companies. 2D action animation nowadays is fairly well expensive to say the least, but that's still no proper reason to ruin such iconic moments of a show that is known for its gorgeous animation and character. I must say, I also tried my best to find official sources as to why they decided to go the road of CGI instead of traditional 2D action animation, but I couldn't really find anything, so I just go with what I believe, I suppose. What I did found, however, is that the staff did change from the transition from JC staff over to GEEKTOYS. This could be maybe the reason why it turned out the way it did, but I'm not sure nor do I have any proof, so yeah. Okay then, what are my concerns about Season 5? Well, specifically that GEEKTOYS again is at the helm. Don't get me wrong, they aren't a bad animation studio by any means, but I'm concerned that they may have not learned their lesson, and how can I help you set the scene in your mind palace? Imagine you're watching the climax, or at least the final season of your favorite animated show, and you're hyped for the epic showdowns and battles the last bit of the show has to offer. offer, only to then see two ugly CGI models slow, and I mean very slow, duking it out, and that's how the season concludes. That would feel terrible, wouldn't it? You see, season 5 should take place from volume 17 up to 20 of the light novel book series, and well, surprise surprise, there are only 22 volumes in total. And so I'm just very concerned that GEEKTOYS yet again will use CGI to animate the action sequences there, and that would be a massive problem. I mean, come on, the level of animation the Kurumi vs White Queen fight had was maybe not a masterpiece but it was decent. It was still nice to look at. Why not just doing that for season 4 as well? One theory I do have is that maybe behind closed doors things were a bit more complicated. I mean, they worked on Data Bullet for, I'd say, at least a few years, and by the time we're also having the license for the main show, so I can imagine that they might have either cut their animation team in tween to get both projects out the door, or they just decided to use CGI to keep the cost of the production low. I mean, I can imagine that Data Bullet without any CGI was expensive to produce, so I kinda guess to not lose all budget entirely, they decided to go the infamous CGI route for Data Life 4. None of this is confirmed whatsoever. Yeah. So just let's hope that this time anything goes smoothly and that we don't have to look at ugly CGI instead of quality 2D animation. So, did you enjoy the video? If so, please tell me your opinion on this topic in the comments down below. And with that being said, till next time.